Lewis Hamilton has just had his first drive in a Ferrari, a monumental moment for Formula One. But as many of you know, a world champion moving to Ferrari doesn't always end in championship glory. Just ask Fernando Alonso. He was a two-time world champion who dominated with Renault only to fall short of a title in red. Or even ask Sebastian Vettel. He carried with him 4 world championships from Red Bull, but he never managed to add his 5th at Ferrari. It's a pattern we've seen before, a supposed Ferrari curse if you will, one that turns champions into normal men. So will Lewis Hamilton fall victim to this Ferrari curse, or can he be the one to finally break it and bring the Scuderia back to the top? Today we're going to explore everything you need to know about Hamilton and the worrying trend of champions at Ferrari. Now, if you're not fully up to speed, let's quickly break down the current situation with Hamilton and Ferrari, before we dive into the past to work out what went wrong for Vettel and Alonso, and discuss why this time it might be different. Lewis Hamilton officially signed with Ferrari after his 12-year stint with Mercedes, in what is arguably the biggest driver move in the history of Formula One. His contract is reportedly worth $100 million per year, and it'll see him racing in red for at least 3 years as he chases one ultimate goal, to get his 8th world championship and a chance to restore Ferrari to the top of the Formula One grid. This move comes after an already legendary career with 7 world championships, 4,862.5 points, and 105 race wins. On paper, Lewis is the most successful driver in the history of the sport, and his move to Ferrari comes at what I think is the perfect time to move in red. But his path won't be easy. He's going up against Charles Leclerc, a driver I genuinely believe has what it takes to become a world champion if the circumstances are right. And in 2025, I think the biggest fight to watch will be Leclerc versus Hamilton, a battle of experience versus just pure raw young speed, both in identical machinery. But again, history tells us that moving to Ferrari as a multiple world champion is not going to end well. So why is that? Let's first explore what went wrong for Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel, and whether Hamilton is destined for this same fate. Fernando Alonso came to Ferrari as the man who was supposed to restore them to their championship glory. He was a 2-time world champion, a ruthless competitor, and arguably one of the best drivers of his generation. His move to Ferrari in 2010 felt like the perfect match and the perfect opportunity for him and the team to grow their trophy cabinets. Alonso was coming off his second stint with a much weaker Renault in 2008 and 2009, but he was still Fernando Alonso, the driver who held off Michael Schumacher for 12 laps around Imola in 2005 to win a race that changed his life. The driver who overtook Schumacher on the outside of 130R at over 200 miles per hour. The driver who could get the maximum out of any car he was in. But despite his incredible talent and years of incredible performances, Alonso left Ferrari without another title to his name. So what went wrong? What happened? By the end of 2009, Ferrari was looking for a new leader after they've had a tough season. Alonso was fresh off his success with Renault, and he was the perfect candidate. At the time, Ferrari was still seen as one of the strongest teams in Formula One, having won the Constructors' Championship as recently as 2008. With Alonso's talent and Ferrari's resources, many believed it was only a matter of time before he added a 3rd world title, and in 2010 he almost did. Alonso led the championship heading into the final race in Abu Dhabi, but a strategic blunder from Ferrari saw him stuck behind Vitaly Petrov's Renault, unable to overtake him. It essentially cost him the title to Sebastian Vettel. Alonso ended up finishing in 2nd. In 2011, Red Bull and Vettel dominated, and Ferrari wasn't even competitive, although Alonso did manage to finish the season with a single win. For 2012, Alonso once again put together one of the best seasons in Formula One, dragging perhaps the most underperforming or underwhelming Ferrari into championship contention. Again, he came agonizingly close, but lost out to Vettel in the final race by just 3 points. Alonso finished 2nd again. For 2013, it was another year of near misses. Red Bull continued to dominate with Sebastian Vettel, and Fernando did get a few early wins with China and Spain, but the combination of Vettel and Red Bull was unmatched at this time. He once again finished 2nd, but this time it just wasn't even close. For 2014, Ferrari fell further behind. They were struggling with the new hybrid engine regulations, and Alonso's frustration ended up boiling over, and he decided to leave the team at the end of the season. After 5 seasons, 3 runner-up finishes, and 2 close championship heartbreaks, Alonso was no longer a Ferrari driver, and he left without ever winning a title. In hindsight, Alonso has admitted that Ferrari wasn't ready for a championship fight at that time, but his time there proved one thing, that even the best drivers can't overcome Ferrari's struggles if the car just isn't good enough. Alonso never had the best car during his time at Ferrari. Now, for Sebastian Vettel, he came to Ferrari in 2015 with aspirations of emulating his hero Michael Schumacher and once again bringing the Scuderia Scuderia to championship glory. However, similar to Alonso, despite having several promising seasons, Vettel's time at Ferrari concluded without an additional title to his name. After dominating the sport from 2010 to 2013, Vettel faced a challenging 2014 season with Red Bull, finishing 5th in the championship and being defeated by his fresh teammate Daniel Ricciardo. Seeking a fresh start and drawn in by the historic team in red, Vettel transitioned to Ferrari for 2015. So what happened? Well, for the 2015 season, Vettel secured 3 victories in Malaysia, Hungary, and Singapore, signaling a strong start with Ferrari. He then finished 3rd in the drivers' standings, behind the dominant Mercedes duo at that time. For the 2016 season, the team struggled to gain momentum, failing to secure a win throughout the entire year. Vettel ended the season in 4th in the championship, with Mercedes clearly dominant at this time. Moving on to 2017, Ferrari was finally back to form, with Vettel winning 5 races and leading the championship for a significant portion of the season. However, a series of incidents, including a notable collision in Singapore and poor reliability from Ferrari being a Ferrari, in addition to just generally being outdeveloped by Mercedes, meant that they lost the championship to Mercedes. Vettel finished the season as runner-up to Lewis Hamilton. For 2018, the battle between Vettel and Hamilton intensified. The SF71H looked to be a championship-worthy car, and arguably the best car on the grid for the first half of the season. Despite having a strong start, winning key races in Australia, Bahrain, and Canada, costly mid-season errors and even more strategic mishaps saw Vettel's challenge completely disappear, resulting in another second-place finish in the championship. 2018, however, was by far his closest challenge, and maybe if Mercedes had a less experienced driver or just someone who wasn't Lewis Hamilton, Ferrari could have sniped it here. 2019 was clearly a shift. The Ferrari SF90 had impressive straight line speed. However, they were generally outmatched again by Mercedes at the time, and the emergence of Vettel's new teammate in Charles Leclerc, who was outperforming him in several key races, marked a clear shift for the team itself. 2020 was similar. It was a season for Ferrari with an uncompetitive car, internal challenges, and Ferrari announced in May that Vettel would leave the team at the end of the season. Over 6 seasons with Ferrari, Vettel achieved 14 Grand Prix victories, but fell short of clinching a championship. He perhaps came the closest of anyone in recent times with 2017 and 2018, and his time at the team highlighted both the potential and the challenges that come for driving for such an iconic team. Even if you have a competitive car, you also need to beat everyone else. And at this time, Hamilton and Mercedes were unstoppable. Now, this is the perfect transition into why this time is going to be different for Hamilton. If we've learned anything from Alonso and Vettel, it's that even with the best driver at the time, defeating someone in a faster car, especially a Formula 1 caliber driver, it's almost impossible. With Ferrari being Ferrari, even when they do have that faster car for brief moments, you need to be able to capitalize on those moments and minimize their mistakes. Conveniently for Hamilton, Ferrari already looks more ready than ever for a title fight in 2025. But this time, the bigger issue is likely going to be his teammate, the World Championship level driver in Charles Leclerc. Lewis Hamilton's move to Ferrari is not just another superstar joining the Scuderia, it's a calculated decision at the perfect time. Hamilton is known for making great career moves, and this could be his biggest and best yet. We've seen champions like Alonso and Vettel leave Ferrari empty-handed, victims of this so-called Ferrari curse. But this time the story does feel different. So what makes Hamilton's Ferrari move unique compared to those before him? Well, to start with, Ferrari seem to be at their strongest in over a decade. Unlike when Alonso joined in 2010 or when Vettel joined in 2015, Ferrari is already competitive heading into 2025. In 2024, they nearly won the Constructors' Championship over McLaren, and they likely would have pulled it off if it weren't for some failed upgrades in the season. They've also got an incredibly stable leadership with their key personnel backing Hamilton. We've got Fred Vasseur, who's brought stability to a team that's been cycling through team principles at an incredible rate. They've had 4 in the last decade. Unlike Vettel and Alonso, Hamilton isn't joining a team he needs to build. He's joining a team with an already strong leadership with people he knows and trusts. Ferrari have recently recruited ex-Mercedes engineers who worked closely with Hamilton before, making this transition even easier. The third and probably most important thing though is the opposition. They seem to be weaker than ever before. Red Bull is in turmoil with their internal tensions and rumors about Verstappen's future, and they've also had the nonsense with Christian Horner last year, all aiming to destabilize the team. McLaren is fast, but they're inexperienced in their current form when it comes to title fights. They're not the same McLaren of back in the day. Mercedes has been struggling with their car development, and we do have Aston Martin, but they're inconsistent and unlikely to form any kind of challenge for the championship, at least in 2025. This means Ferrari isn't going to be just competing. They should be the favourites going into 2025. So in my view, and for my predictions, Ferrari will be number one. They've got no excuses. This is their best shot at a title since 2008. They have the best car, the best drivers, and some great personnel. And most importantly, they aren't playing catch up anymore. They're already at the front. Hamilton will have a better car if all goes well than Vettel or Alonso ever had. And Alonso managed to drag his average Ferrari to title fights in 2010 and 2012. Yes, Vettel had a fast car, but it was a flawed car. And in 2017 and 2018, he was suffering from strategy errors and overall bad reliability. Hamilton's Ferrari is already a race-winning machine. He doesn't need a miracle to compete. The battle is going to be between Leclerc and Hamilton. Hopefully they'll push Ferrari forward. If they're managed well, it'll all work out. But the challenge is Leclerc. He's Ferrari's golden boy, but he now has a 7-time world champion as a teammate. If he is managed correctly, they should be able to push each other and get the most from the car. But if tensions turn into fighting, it could derail their championship hopes. Overall though, Ferrari's past failures have been a mix of bad strategy, instability, and strong opponents. For the first time in years, Ferrari have all of those factors in their own favour. If Hamilton fails to win his 8th title, it's not going to be because of the car or the team, it's likely going to be because of Hamilton himself. Subscribe for more Formula 1 and watch my video on screen to learn more about Carlos Sainz for 2025 and how he's Williams' best hope for the future.